4 teams' quest to win a Stanley Cup dream is still alive. We're going to look at all 4 of those teams, and I'm going to give you who I think is going to win the Stanley Cup. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Cameron Simpson. Hopefully you are having an amazing, awesome day. And if your favorite team is in the Stanley Cup, hit that like button. Consider subscribing. I'll have up-to-the-minute reactions on all of this on all my social media. So go into the description down below and go on to that. With that said, there is a big round of the playoffs coming up, the conference championships. And some teams are in there that are good. And some teams that are in there that no one expected them to be in there. And I'm talking about Florida. I'm talking about other teams in this league, but mainly it's Florida. And when we look at this round of the playoffs, this is it. Anything can happen in the Stanley Cup playoffs, right? People say that all the time. They obviously believe it. The Stanley Cup playoffs is the most unpredictable playoffs out of all of them. It is the best out of all of them, and it's proving to be that way this time. So with all that, let's look ahead. Let's look at the conference championships. And first off and foremost, the Panthers, the Hurricanes. Great series by the Hurricanes. I didn't expect them to win. I thought it was going to be a much more competitive, much more in-depth series, but I should have known. Carolina is a very good team. They're strong in net. They are really, really strong goaltending-wise. I mean, if you're going to beat that team, you're going to have to beat them. Did I say goaltending? I didn't mean to say goaltending. But if you're going to beat that team, you're going to have to beat them by playing very good, skilled defense, because their defense is incredible. Carolina's defense is superior to almost any of the teams in this place. Maybe Vegas has a better deep pairing than Carolina does. And Carolina's offense, very, very good, but they're really strong in the back end. The Devils really struggled to score goals. They had one high-scoring game, and what a weird second round of the playoffs. I'll say that too. Many goals were scored. And when the goaltending is sharp, the goaltending is good for Carolina. But what a magical run for Florida, as much as it pains me to say. What a great run. Do I think they were given a layup? Yeah, Toronto did not play that great whatsoever. Toronto wasn't even on the same spectrum as Florida was. And it just pains me enough to say that because the Bruins would probably have smoked Toronto. But that's that. Great run by Florida, and their leaders are stepping up. Their best players are performing very well, and those guys that you need them to do well in order to win are winning, and those guys that you just have there and you hope that they do well and it will really elevate your team, they're doing good. They are on a very magical run. And this team, when put to the test, can play very, very physical. And let's look at Carolina's game, and that is a physical, beat your opponent up game, a speedy game as well, and they have that. Most teams don't have the speed, the physicality, the grit. They don't have both. It's either you're a really physical team or a really fast team, but Carolina's got it both. And Florida has a little bit of both. I don't think they're even on the same caliber of these two teams, but come physicality, Carolina will drill their opponents, especially in the playoffs, while Florida will compete with their opponents in a very big way. And if Carolina, if Carolina, this is no easy layup for them. If Carolina wants to win this series, they're going to have to be physical. They're going to have to push their opponent over the breaking point. And if Florida wants to win the series, they're going to have to shut down that offense as well as creating their own offense, which is going to be nearly impossible because that defense is very, very good. Look, I don't know what way this series will go. I like Carolina. I think they are the best team left out of the 4. So I will be taking the Hurricanes. I think they're way better coached than Florida. Not saying that Florida isn't well coached, but Rod Brind'Amour is a very good coach. He has this type of experience. I think it is Carolina's year. So I'm going to pick Carolina to win the series. But how many games? 6? 7? I mean, I say this all the time, but this is one of those. Conference finals aren't going to be easy, even if we're underestimating Florida, and maybe I am. I've not picked Florida once, but third time's a charm. So maybe they'll get eliminated this time around. Then it is Vegas versus the Stars. And Dallas, another team that did great, but they had a tough matchup against the Kraken. I think they went 7 games, didn't they? Or maybe they only went 6, but I think that, no, that series went 7, didn't it? But anyway, they had a tough series against the Kraken. The Kraken, kudos to that team. They played very good in this playoffs, but obviously some things have to end, and unfortunately for the Kraken, that was their playoff run had to end. But the Stars, they played a very good series, a solid series. They have scoring, but against Vegas team, like I mentioned, that's a very shut down defense. It's going to be tough. I mean, Vegas did what a lot of people didn't think they could do to Edmonton, and ESPN was brutal during these two series, but Vegas was good. They were able to shut down Edmonton and some of the biggest scorers in the National Hockey League. So that deserves some credit. That deserves some praise. With that said, Vegas is good, and they're well coached. When Bruce Cassidy's coaching a team to its best of the ability, he can win a Stanley Cup. And I believe he has every right to go win that Stanley Cup this year. I think it's all in his court. It's all in his hands. So Bruce Cassidy, I feel like, will outcoach this Dallas Stars team. This Dallas Stars team will be outplayed by this Vegas team, who will score. Jack Eichel is starting to look really dangerous. Jack Eichel is starting to look really, really, really good in the playoffs. So with that said, I'm going to be taking Vegas to win this series. Hopefully they can get it done. So there's my two picks. Stanley Cup, Carolina versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas would be going for their first ever career Stanley Cup if that does all work out that way, which I do think it will. And then I will predict who I think will win the Stanley Cup championship when we get to that. Until then, my name is Cameron Simpson. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe. I'll be back to talk about the conference championships sometime next week. Till then, peace out. Bam.